radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? How you doing? Today's Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. Days into the new year. Only 360 days left. They're just clicking by, aren't they? We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world. All across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? January 5th. Holy crap. Tonight. What's going on around the country? Anything special? No. It's going down tonight on Fade to Black for sure. Tonight, very special guest. Bob McGwier is here. We're going to be talking about the triangle UFO image that is circulating around those secret three-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that tonight. And Bob... Can I say, Bob, text me, Bob. I know you're listening. 20-second delay. Can I tell everybody where you are right now? He is in the thick of things, man. Right now as we speak. Yeah, Bob, I'm watching. Just go ahead and text me right here. Or text me on my phone, too. Whatever's easier. Can I disclose? You know what? We'll save that for when you come on the show. I'll let you disclose it. All right. And then tomorrow night, right here, very excited, Isaac Arthur is here. We're going to be talking future science. I kind of gave you a sneak peek. Some of the things we're going to be talking about tomorrow night. One of them, measurement and observation, quantum theory, quantum mechanics, physics. You know, because all of that, entanglement, all of that is what implies. Oh, look, Bob texted. Bob says, yes, go for it. Bob is on the border between Alabama and Georgia. Right now, everything is going down in his front yard, just across the state line. As we speak. So there you go. Bob will be with us at the bottom of the hour. Tomorrow night, Isaac Arthur is here. And then, of course, Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Last night, so I talked about measurement and observation and entanglement yesterday on the show. And about how nobody in physics, can agree. Nobody has agreed. Nobody knows nothing and so forth. But So last night I'm listening to a conversation between a couple of physicists, and I'm not going to say who, but and it went right there. Everything that I talked about in the show last night, and I'm trying to get to sleep, and I'm just lying there, on my back, just with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, going, "This is unbelievable." I wish the Federnauts could be here with me right now, because they would just be laughing, because that's exactly that they were laughing. So funny. I can't tell you how many times I heard this physicist last night say, "I don't know. Nobody knows. Don't know." Don't know. Measurement? I have no idea. All right. But yet it's the basis of everything, but I don't know what it is. I don't even know when it occurs. Okay. All right. So that's tomorrow night with Isaac Arthur, Future Science. And if you haven't been to his YouTube channel, that is, so I tightened up the screws. Now this is all squeaky. I need to WD-40 that, but it's tight now. At least it's not, but here it's, that was that shrimp salad I had for lunch. Oh, excuse me. Oh, man. I'm in a great mood. We are in 2021. Everybody wants their own crystal skull. I'm just going to let you know. Carolyn Ford, you want one of these? Go see Carolyn Ford. Got this from Carolyn Ford. You want one of these? Go see Carolyn Ford. Just had a wonderful email exchange with her a few minutes ago, actually. You want one of these, right? Carolyn Ford. How about a baby Einstein? This is a baby Einstein. It's got his own little pillow that he sits on. So he sits like this. Baby Einstein. Got the little holes right here where Einstein's got him. Baby Einstein. You want one of these? Einstein, thecrystalskull.com. That's where you go. Einstein, thecrystalskull.com. Promo code Jimmy will get you 10% off of your Crystal Skull order today. All right? Go. Einstein, thecrystalskull.com. We've got links over at jimmychurchradio.com. Follow me on Twitter at jchurchradio. Sounds like an owl. Oh, man. Yeah, that's too funny. I can't move it now. All right, that's enough. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox on Twitter. Come and visit us over there. We've got chat rooms open, one over at Spreaker, one over at KGRA. And, of course, hello to everybody on YouTube, troublemakers. Hello to everybody on Facebook, troublemakers. Hello to everybody in the bunker camp, troublemakers. Everybody's a troublemaker these days. All right. Oh, that looks good. Hold on. I'm going to click on that. Is that what? Okay. I just want to make sure that is what I am looking at. That's from P.S. Fader. Who is P.S. Fader? Who's P.S.? Fader P.S. P.S. Fader. That's the first time I've seen you tweet. Who is P.S. Fader? Somebody throw P.S. under the bus. I want to know who that is. All right. Questions during the show tonight. Hashtag F2BQ. We've got Bob McGwier on, one of the big brains of our community. Any questions for Bob tonight, pop them up right there. Hashtag F2BQ. You can also email throughout the show, and I will get to as many as I can. And that email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. All right, let's get to the breaking news. I'm not sure if there is any news today. Is there anything going on? Not sure. Slow news day. Didn't really see anything in the headlines. All right. What's going on out there? Somebody let me know. Audio is really bad, Jimmy, and that is coming in from Chuck Elliott. Why would my audio be really bad? Jimmy, the audio through the website is very choppy tonight. At points, it's hard to even understand you. Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can do something. Try this. Let's see. I had some issues that I let everybody know about yesterday, and I changed some drivers, but I thought everything was fine. I'm looking at it here. Okay, let's try. Let's see if this works. No, that's not good. That one didn't work. This one is choppy, you said. That's that driver. Let me see. I'm going to try this one. Check. No, there's no audio there. Let's see. Check. How's that? Oh, I think that's better. Is that better? Audio is fine. Yeah, that's a different audio setup. Yeah, the Windows driver. But I'm looking at it here, and it looks smoother. Okay, so I'm going to run for that now. Let's get to the breaking news. Julian Assange is free to return home to Australia. Once legal challenges against him are dealt with, Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced today, after a UK court denied a request to extradite the WikiLeaks founder to the United States. A British judge yesterday blocked the extradition request by the United States, where Assange was set to face criminal charges, including breaking a spying law, saying that his mental health problems meant he would be at risk of suicide. The United States Justice Department said it would continue to seek Assange's extradition, with prosecutors set to appeal the ruling to London's High Court. Next up, preserving the historic sites where humans first landed on the moon is now not only a good idea, it is also the law. You see, the United States has enacted its first legislation that requires American companies and other entities working with NASA on new missions to the moon to avoid distributing the U.S. hardware, disturbing the U.S. hardware that was left there 50 years ago. The One Small Step to Protect Human Heritage in Space Act became law on New Year's Eve, Thursday, December 31st. Now, U.S. commercial enterprises and others seeking contracts, seeking grants, or other agreements for lunar activities carried out by, for, or in partnership with NASA will need to agree to stay clear of the human heritage sites on the moon to be eligible for the requested support. There you go. So, if we went to the moon, one of the, I think it's called Talk Radio, YouTube channel out of the United Kingdom was removed from YouTube. 250,000 subscribers. And without YouTube actually saying why. And one of the things that they were talking about on this YouTube channel, apparently, was the lockdowns that are going down in the UK. And it was just voices of this, people upset, people that weren't, I heard that it was a boring channel. This is a dry British typical radio broadcast, nothing special, and they never really stepped out of bounds, but the YouTube channel was brought down. And I guess one of the other things, I think this is what I read, don't quote me, don't sue me, but they also talked about the fake moon landings. So, and I'm talking about this new law. I'm afraid I can't even crack a joke now. Can't even crack a joke about it. I got to let that stuff go. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Bradley Cooper. 46 years old. I like Bradley. He's actually pretty funny. Marilyn Manson today says that he's only 52. Diane Keaton today, 75. Clancy Brown today is 63 years old. Of course, Starship Troopers, chopping off arms, whack. Shawshank Redemption, Billions, Carnival on HBO, and of course, Bad Boys from 1983 with Sean Penn. I'm going to talk more about this in just a minute. And Vinnie Jones today is 56 years old, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. Played one of my favorite characters in cinema history, Bullet Tooth Tony in Snatch. Rita and I were talking about Vinnie the other day. I said, what was his name? What was it? Bullet Tooth Tony. Stopped a bullet with his teeth. So they called him Bullet Tooth Tony. Our dead guy's birthday today is Sam Phillips, 1923 to 2003, died at the age of 80. Sam was the founder of Sun Records and Sun Studio in Memphis, Tennessee, where he produced recordings by Roy Orbison, Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, and Howlin' Wolf. Phillips played a major role in the development of rock and roll during the 1950s, owned some radio stations, too, in Memphis. Had the first all-female radio station. Opened that up in like 1956, 1957. Whole staff, DJs, front office, advertising, the staff at the radio station, all women. Good for Sam. All right, but it was on the 18th of July, 1953, when an 18-year-old named Elvis Presley dropped into the studio to record something for his mother's birthday. And the rest, they say, is history. In 1986, Phillips was part of the first group inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He died at St. Francis Hospital in Memphis on July 30th, 2003, only one day before the original Sun Studio was designated a National Historic Landmark. Happy birthday, Sam Phillips. On this day in history, 1972, President Nixon launches the Space Shuttle. That's right. Well, the program. The Space Shuttle program he launched in 1972. Then 2 years later, Nixon would resign. 21 years later, the shuttle resigned. On this day in history. Fate or fact? All right, here you go. Listen to this. Leonardo da Vinci's painting, Salvator Mundi, was sold at auction in 1958 for just $50. In 2005, it sold for $10,000. Then, 8 years later, in 2013, it sold for $75 million. And then later that year, it sold again for $127.5 million. And then 3.5 years later, finally sold at auction in 2017 for $450.3 million. And that is your Fate or Fact. Tonight, Bob McGwier is here. He's going to tell us what's going on with this triangle UFO image that's circulating around all those secret 3-letter agencies, part of some secret reports. We're going to find out all about that picture tonight with Bob and a lot of other subjects. A lot of stuff is going down, including Bob's front yard. Tomorrow night, Isaac Arthur and Future Science. We're going to be talking about measurement, observation, entanglement, and faster than the speed of light. That's right. Thursday's another Fader night with open lines all night long. And right now, I'm going to hit this River Moon Coffee. The new website is rivermoonwellness.com. Go over to jimmychurchradio.com. We've got the new banners up. You can go and click. It'll take you straight there. All of our Black Moon wellness products are there. All of the River Moon new products are there for wellness. And, of course, all the coffee that you can handle, including Fade to Black Blend. rivermoonwellness.com. All right, let me hit this coffee. It's been a while. It's been a while since you and I, us, we, it's been a while since we have talked about the Mandela effect. But today, it came back in full force. Say, what, Jimmy? You got a Mandela effect story? I do. Stay with me. Got a good one coming up. I won't disappoint you. But one of my all-time favorite movies is 1983's Bad Boys with Sean Penn, Esai Morales, and Ali Sheedy. And all of them were great in the film. But it was Clancy Brown as Viking Lofgren who was the scene stealer. Clancy Brown. Clancy made such an impact on me that I ended up just following his career throughout the years. Clancy Brown was great. And then 18 years ago, I remember it like it was yesterday. 18 years ago, Rita and I watched Bad Boys. She hadn't seen the movie before. She knows Sean Penn and, things. But so we watched Bad Boys. And then, I tell her all about Clancy. Clancy comes, you remember the jail, you remember the fight with the Cokes. The Cokes in the pillowcase, right? And yeah, and right after that, so that was like 2002. And Clancy Brown, right? And right after that, HBO premiered their new series, Carnival. And there was Clancy playing Brother Justin Crow. I don't remember. But it was a good role. And Carnival was great. Rita and I, all the supernatural and paranormal you can handle, a little bit of time travel thrown in there. Took place back in the Dust Bowl in the middle of the United States back in like the 1930s. Great series. And it ran for 24 episodes, 2 seasons. And we watched both seasons and we really enjoyed it. But there was no season 3. The show was canceled in 2005. And it was sometime right after this, right around 2005, 2006, I had read something, this announcement that said Carnival was canceled because Clancy Brown had died. And I freaked out. And, and I showed the article to Rita. I'm like, Rita, check this out. Clancy Brown is dead. What? Yeah, Carnival's canceled. And although we were bummed out, we accepted the fact that Clancy had died. And we go and we double check, and sure enough, Carnival's canceled. There's no season 3. Clancy Brown is dead. And then over the next year or so, a couple of things popped up, movies, whatever, like a TV series. He was in Lost. Clancy was in Lost in a movie or two. I don't remember the specifics. It doesn't matter. But Rita and I concluded that they must have filmed all of this stuff with Clancy before he died. And now we're just getting the stuff that was released after his death, right? Okay, that makes sense. So from 2006 through 2012, Clancy kind of dropped out of sight. I mean, dude is dead, right? He's dead. He's not on TV anywhere. I don't see Clancy. I didn't even think about Clancy. But then in 2012, he popped up in this movie called John Dies at the End, which is a great movie. And I'm watching it. I'm like, wait a minute. That's Clancy. Clancy's dead, right? What's he doing in this movie? And then I thought to myself, it must be another actor that was, that kind of looked like Clancy. But it could be Clancy because Clancy's been dead for, like Momo for 10 years. And I'm not making this stuff up. This is how it went down. And I remember trying to find another actor that I think looked like Clancy, and I was making a mistake and so forth. But anyway. But then in 2018, Clancy shows up in the flesh on Showtime's Billions, playing Attorney General Waylon Jeffcoat. Great role, too. 3 years ago, I'm sitting there with Rita watching our new favorite series, Billions, which we still love, and there's Clancy. And I turn to Rita and go, wait a minute. Dude is dead. Right? And Rita says, didn't he die back when Carnival was on the air? And I was like, yeah, he's dead. So I grab my cell phone. I look up Carnival on IMDb. There's Clancy, right? He's the actor. Check. Got that done. I look up Billions, and there's Clancy. Check that out. So Clancy's alive. I couldn't believe it. And then Rita and I sat there talking about the whole thing. Dude died. We had read it. Carnival got canceled. And back then, it was like a whole thing for us, this Clancy dying, and we really liked the show when we liked Clancy's role. He was great, and we were bummed out that he died. This was our very real memory. Now, here's the strange thing. Clancy really did drop off the big screen from 2006 until just recently, over 10 years. Because he was doing voice acting. He's been very, very busy. He was the dude. He was the voice acting king. Still is here in L.A. All of his new stuff that's coming out from 2020 and 2021, all voiceovers. He's got like 5 or 10 big Hollywood productions coming out, but he did animated TV, he did film voiceovers, voices for characters, and video games. Really big stuff, too. Like he did the Lego DC supervillains. He did Dallas and Robo. He did Avengers Assemble. He did Troll Hunters. He did Star Wars, all of them. He did Thor, Ragnarok. That's right. He did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He did The Ultimate Spider-Man. He did Sleepy Hollow. He did Hulk and the Agents of Smash. He did all of SpongeBob SquarePants. He was Mr. Krabs. He did Pound Puppies. He did Kung Fu Panda. He did Transformers Prime. He did Scooby-Doo. He did Call of Duty. He did Green Lantern, Thundercats, G.I. Joe Renegades, and on and on and on and on and on. He was even Hades in God of War, one of Rita and I's all-time favorite video games, and we didn't know that Clancy Brown was Hades. Didn't know that. So, yeah, although Clancy was the busiest voice in Hollywood, you didn't see his face. At least we didn't, until Billions premiered in 2017. His voiceover stuff certainly explains his disappearance for 10 years, but there was no explanation for the article that we read back in 2005 that announced his death and the cancellation of HBO's Carnival. Seriously. Every time I see Clancy's face today, he was the guy that died and came back to life. I'm not making this up. Just like earlier when I found out that today was his birthday. Dude is truly the Phoenix. For real. So that's my Mandela Effect story of the day. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Tonight, Bob McGwier. Bob McGuire's here. We're going to be talking about that triangle UFO image that has got everybody talking on the internet. Tomorrow night, it is Isaac Arthur and Future Science. It's a physics evening tomorrow on Fade to Black. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Bob McGwier on Twitter at Bob McGwier or N4HY. I think that's his radio call letters. I might be wrong. Maybe it's his birthday to Morse code. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back with our guest, Bob McGwier. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Permanent industrial glue impossible to remove? Not anymore, because Handyman Formula by D-Bond is a patented chemical adhesive remover. It's used in the building and home maintenance industry, but now it's available for your home use, for your DIY projects. Unglue stickers, silicone rubber, labels, price tags, flex tape, weather stripping, carpet glue, wood glue, liquid nails, even 3M 5200. And it dissolves graffiti. Yeah, graffiti. Handyman Formula by D-Bond works, and it's safe to use on most surfaces. No need to call a professional. Don't get out the pliers and blowtorch. Just apply a little Handyman Formula by D-Bond and wait 90 seconds, then quickly and easily pull the items apart. Get unstuck. Visit DBondHandymanFormula.com. That's DBondHandymanFormula.com or call 561-575-4200. Handyman Formula by D-Bond.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Bob McGwier is here. Tomorrow night, Isaac Arthur. Future Science. We're going to be talking about physics all night long. Tonight, our guest is scientist, UFO, UAP researcher, and Professor Bob McGwier. We're going to be discussing the rumors about a classified top secret image of a black triangle, UFO, UAP, exiting the ocean surface. That is part of a government agency report. Bob holds a PhD in applied mathematics from Brown University. He was an early pioneer of software-defined radio, SDR, at the Institute for Defense Analyses Center for Communication Research. That sounds creepy, Bob. Bob founded Federated Wireless Inc. in 2012 and Hawkeye 360 Inc. in 2017. Bob recently moved back to his home state of Alabama after retiring from Virginia Tech as a professor, director of research, and chief scientist of the Hume Center. He's also, of course, a member of SkyHub and SkyHub Science Advisory Group. That website and its link is over at jimmychurchradio.com, skyhub.org. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Bob. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing okay, Jimmy. Got a death of a friend from COVID-19 of 37 years, but you know, a lot of people are putting up with that. Outside of that, I'm doing well. My wife and I are healthy when we're isolated, trying not to get exposed and waiting for a vaccine.
You look great.
Thank you.
Well, you know, they say theatrics is half the sale, right?
Well, I forgot my pancake makeup.
Yeah. What was it? Saturday Night Live. Billy Crystal. What was it? Ricardo Montalban. He did one of those guys. It's better to look good than to feel good. Right?
Oh yes.
I'm like old, and that stuck with me my entire life. It really did. It's a really profound statement if you think about it. I got to touch on a couple of things out of the gate really quick. Obviously, we know we don't do politics on the show, but ignoring the elephant in the room, we've got a major election going down in Georgia. You're right there on the border. Do you feel the pressure over there in Alabama about what's going on in the state line?
Yes. Oh yeah. Because most of my television stations, local television broadcast stations, and almost all the radio stations are in Columbus, Georgia, or just across the border here in Alabama. And the politics of Georgia and the politics of Alabama are different, but not that different. And so it's just very, very active. And of course, $500 million got spent on advertising in Georgia on this election. So it's just dominated the airways. People are sick of it.
Right. I can only imagine. And I just want to get all this behind. I just want to know what's going on. Right. That's all. I just want to know. Everybody is we've got question marks and question marks and question marks. We've just got to move on. 2020 is behind us. 2021 is in front of us, and it's time to get back to work and roll up the sleeves and get this country put back together. That's it. And here we are, January 5th, and tomorrow's the 6th, and I don't have to talk about any of it. I get to talk about UFOs with you. I get to talk physics with Isaac Arthur, and I get to escape. Right, the reality of what's going on out there for three hours every single night. So I thank my lucky stars. This is my job.
That's a good thing, Jimmy. It's a good thing.
It
keeps you from getting depressed.
Well, then you got the UFO community.
Well, that's depressing.
Oh man, I was talking to some friends over the weekend, and it was really interesting. Couple of friends over at the house, and. We just got over COVID ourselves, our family and everything. And I'm still not 100%, but I'm over the COVID part. I'm dealing with all of the after effects. And but anyway, we had a couple of friends over, and they both brought up something with me that was interesting, what we're just talking about. They said our UFO community is a microcosm of the world. Whatever goes on here eventually goes on out in the world, right? That we are an example of what the rest of the world is going through. And the point to that is the UFO community can deal with trippiness, uncertainty, conspiracy, right? We can understand all of the drama that the rest of the world is freaking out on right now. Here, it's just like another day at the races, isn't it?
So as you know that I'm Richard Bleepin Dolan's admin and moderator on the Richard Bleepin Dolan forum. So inside there is every range of politics you can imagine, every philosophy and every conspiracy theory in 2,000 or 3,000 people. And it's just amazing to watch it. And they know each other well enough that they the exchanges get really heated, and some of it's just like bouncing off the walls. And so it's actually been a little fun. People get upset. I don't really get upset. I mean, it's just they're letting. I figure they're letting steam off, and that's a safe place to do it.
It's funny for me to hear you say bleeping. Because of the origins, the etymology of bleeping. And I'll tell you this. You may have heard the story, but let me be very clear how this happened. Oh, man, 6 years ago, probably, maybe longer. But somewhere in there, Richard and I were with a group of friends, and I think we had a couple of beers. and Richard started swearing like a sailor. But it was during the conversation, and we were doing night vision, and we had some stuff going on, and he got excited, and I was like, wow, Richard, you got a potty mouth, right? And I said, that's pretty cool. And so that after that, I went up to him, it was a couple of months later, and he was staying next to us in this hotel. And I went out each morning. I would go out, and Richard and I would talk at like 8 o'clock in the morning. But the first morning I went out there, he's sitting there, and I go, Richard, there's a bad word there. And I said, Richard effing Dolan. And he said, Jimmy effing Church. And I said, that's the Richard I love, right? And so that's where it started. So after that, privately, when I would see Richard, around, we would greet each other with that. And that's how it started. It was our little inside little joke that we would say privately to each other. And then one day, I don't know, it's probably 5 years ago, before the show, I was talking to Richard, and I said, hey, man, I'm going to introduce you as Richard effing Dolan tonight. He goes, I dare you. I dare you. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. He goes, I love it. Do it. And of course I didn't. I said Richard bleepin' Dolan. And that's where it started. And so for me, so many years later, for you to say that, and that it's now like established, right? Established verbiage.
I got it from you. So there you go. So I would be remiss if we don't pass, you and our audience don't pass to Richard our deepest condolences on the loss of his mother to COVID. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but we got to tell Richard. Condolences.
Yeah, and the morning that she passed, I spoke to Richard. It was a private conversation, but he came straight out and said at the beginning of the conversation, this is what just happened. And I was in another mindset. And when you hear that coming from such a close friend, it's his mom, wow, and what a tremendous thing to deal with. I dealt with it with my mom, and for him to deal with it minutes after she had passed, he was. I'll say this, and Richard, if you're listening, all the respect in the world. He was in a much better spot than I would have been, right? He just knew, he's a very pragmatic guy, he's got things that he has to deal with and work on with him and his family. But I said, man, you're taking it better than I am right now, but his head is in the right place. And, our thoughts and prayers go to him and Tracy and the rest of the family out there.
The good thing is he's working hard. So, he came out with this new book, The Alien Agenda, but he is also doing what everybody has been hoping he would do for the longest time. He's bringing out Volume 3 of UFO and the National Security State, and it's almost done.
Well, we've been waiting. So we've been waiting. We've been waiting this many years.
He is really pouring his heart and soul into it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Richard needs to write.
Yeah.
That's what he needs to do. This community needs his books. They need his insight. That's what got him to where he is, and the respect, and people just need. And so to do that, you've got to have the discipline, man. You've got to sit. Oh, yeah. You've got to write. And I'd bother him all the time. Richard, what are you doing? Well, you should be writing. Yeah, I know, but Jimmy, I got. Okay, Richard, write the book. Right? Yeah. Just sit down and write.
Don't look. Because I serve him on the forum doesn't mean I didn't give him hell.
Yeah,
I really did. I gave him hell about writing that book. It says it is what you do best, better than anyone, and just do it.
That's
and
right.
Then he had this Alien Agenda weekend where he had a weekend private virtual meeting, and boom, out of that, and then it just opened the floodgate. He just started writing all over the place. And for internally, he's written a bunch of great stuff, and now he's writing the big book. It's just great.
Yeah, see, and somebody like Richard, and I asked him a couple of times about how he writes. But with Richard, it's all in his head. All you've got to do is take the time of putting your hands on the keyboard. Get it out of you. God, I can only imagine how he can crank out pages. Right?
It's an amazing. So once he started, he realized he had way more than enough material for a book, and he just jumped in.
Yeah, he said to me a couple of weeks ago on the show, best and fastest and easiest book I've ever written. Just came flowing. Just came out of me. Well, don't stop. Don't stop, Richard. I know you're listening. We love you. Our best goes to you and Tracy and the family through these times. Let's get straight to it. This image that has got everybody chatting right now. This second image, I should say. I think it was a couple of months ago. I saw this little cryptic tweet of yours, and I immediately got on the phone and started making phone calls about it. And I don't have the tweet up in front of me, but it said something like, I believe you said, I've seen the picture. Right? Okay, so you know the tweet I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay. So at that point, I get a hold of the debrief, and I talked to Micah, as you know, and started jumping into this a little bit. Then I see the artist rendering. Then I see the other picture of the F-18 pilot, which didn't look like what was being described by you and others, with this black triangle with lights on it and, a 90-degree egress out of the ocean. I didn't see that. So then I was thinking, okay, well, this is interesting, the F-18 image. But is this what everybody else is chatting about, that there were two images? So let's actually start back at the beginning here. We're talking about two images that were part of a report that was being circulated, right?
That is correct. So just let me tell you, I am told, and I believe it, that after my tweets and some other things, that there was a full-blown counterintelligence investigation. And they apparently calmed down very quickly when they found out what I already knew, and that is those damn pictures and that report are everywhere. They're all over the government. People are just passing them around and showing them off to their friends because they're so startling. So the least significant of them, I had been shown that thing by 5 different people in and out of government, and they were just all over the place. And the issue is, I don't believe any of the photos are actually classified. The people are receiving lawful orders not to release those photos until given permission, and they're getting that over because they were taken with private cell phone videos, cell phone cameras that the crew took into the airplane with them. Now, that used to be against the rules, and I don't know whether it is now or not. I just know that both of these photos that I have seen were taken with cell phones. And one is what everybody's calling the Batman balloon, and the other one is this triangle thing. And the way major position papers, where big new news is spread out, is developed inside the government, is these reports and their inputs come from all sorts of departments and entities all over the government, and it gets passed around everywhere. And of course, people make copies or have copies. So I don't think I saw the final version because it was a while ago, and I haven't seen a classified thing since May the 8th, when I did what's called retired. I retired from my job and started drawing both my pension and taking money from stocks and that I own in companies, payouts from that, and I read out of all my clearances. I no longer hold a clearance.
Okay, so that being said, there is some verbiage. I don't know how accurate it is, from the debrief and Tim McMillan about the pages of this report and what is in this report. Is this the same report that you saw?
I think I saw a much earlier version, and I believe that Tim has probably been exposed to one way or another. Tim and the debrief have been exposed to a later version than I was. So, as I said, I retired in May, and I saw the thing being passed around late last fall, and the picture that came out, which was everybody's calling the Batman balloon. Mm-hmm. I saw that in the spring from 5 different sources, and the triangle picture that has not made it out, I saw it late last fall or early this year. Things kind of run together because of all the shutdown in the school year and COVID. I was like the only person inside the Hume Center for a month, because everybody else was gone. So a lot of days run together, but it was around then.
Now, the image that nobody has seen, the triangle, let's just call it the triangle for the rest of the show. That image, did you see it electronically?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not see it printed. I saw an electronic version.
Are you still in possession of that photo?
I am not. I no longer have it because it was on someone else's electronics.
So that's how you saw it. Somebody, whatever, cell phone, iPad.
Whatever it was, I saw it, and it was not in my possession.
Right. Okay. Describe what you saw in the picture.
So I saw the underbelly of a triangle with three lights in the corner, some structure in the center, and I don't remember any other things that are being talked about, but I didn't get to see it for long. But I did see, I went, oh, yeah, that's more details.
Okay, so help me understand here. You can see my hands, so can some of the audience. Okay, so here's the picture, right? Yep. How big was the triangle in this picture? Ratio wise.
Okay, so it's 8. Let's say it was an 8x10 picture. It was took up about a square inch.
Oh, so substantial.
Oh yeah, you could see some details.
Yeah, right on. Okay, now again, this is theatrics of the mind. The reports are that there was water. You see the surface of the ocean. How close was the triangle to the surface of the ocean, if you could make a guesstimate?
Okay, so that's a little difficult because it's difficult to look down at the ocean and estimate how high above the ocean you are. But it was out the cockpit of the airplane. So I don't know how high they were. And the other reason that we have some hope it will come out is none of the instruments or the classified settings on any of the instruments were in the photo. So in other words, none of the panel.
Okay. As opposed to the FA-18 shot, the Batman shot, what you see below is clouds, right?
Yeah, no, you could see water.
You can see water in this instance, right? You can see the surface of the ocean. So they're not that high up.
No, I don't believe that they're below the cloud deck.
Right.
And I don't even recall noticing clouds. So they must have come down fairly low, but I don't think they were like raising mist off the water, zipping over the ocean. They were probably up 1,000 meters.
Right. Okay.
A kilometer maybe.
Okay. I got you. That's perfect. And the next.
But that's a guess. No,
I get it. Well, there's a difference between a mile and 5,000 feet and 45,000 feet. Okay. So a mile.
Well, this is not halfway to space. This is close.
Exactly. Okay. Now, the other chatter is that this object was leaving the water at a 90-degree angle. Was there anything for you to indicate that?
No. of it.
So it's flying sideways. Well,
fighting sideways. To me, it looked like sideways. And it may have been coming up, may have been going down, but the shutter speed, if you will, equivalent on that camera was fast enough. I didn't see any blur.
So that was my next question. How clear and in focus is this photograph?
It's pretty clear and in focus. I don't recall any blur.
Wow.
I mean, this is over a year old, but I don't recall any blur.
Color?
Oh yeah, it was in color. It was a cell phone camera.
I'm saying, but it could be a shades of gray, overcast day kind of thing.
Oh no, not that. And
this is a
whatever
color?
my perception of the color of the base material is obscured by the fact that it had these orangish yellowish lights in the three corners. In other words, that's what drew my eye. And you could see the overall triangular outline. I don't recall seeing any other major structures.
The any ships, anything in the water?
I didn't see any.
You didn't see any. We're going to be taking a break here in a second. We'll continue this conversation when we come back. There was the comment about it being at a 90-degree angle coming out of the ocean is very interesting. But are you saying that part from what you observed is not part of this picture?
That's not part of the picture. It may, in fact, be what happened, but I couldn't tell that from this picture.
Okay, well, we all know what a USO is.
Yeah.
From you looking at this image, do you lean on USO, or is that for you dismissed?
Oh, no, I'm not dismissing it because I believe the discussions that I heard about this picture without having talked to any of the eyewitnesses said it came out of the water. These personal pictures and brought them home. And I really get. I've been on a submarine. I've been on the flagship of the 7th Fleet. I've done quite a few things, and I can tell you how a Navy captain thinks about his boat or his ship. The first thing is protection of your personnel, and then protection of your assets, defending the United States of America. And they are upset that things happened like two F-18 pilots are flying at several hundred miles an hour, and a 50-foot wide
death machine,
a cubicle in a sphere comes flying through them, missing their wingtips right between them. That pisses people off, and they want answers.
Right. Very interesting. More on this when we come back. Bob, you stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, tonight. Professor Bob McGwier. We're here talking about all these rumors that are going around right now in the UFO community about a classified top secret image of a black triangle UFO that is part of a secret government report. We'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Bob McGwier is here. Tomorrow night, Isaac Arthur. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planets. We're going to do a lot of talking tonight with Bob, but right now we're talking about this image that hasn't been leaked yet. Bob, I just want to follow up on a couple of points that you made before the break, and the first one is this. In the reports, are you suggesting that it was indeed two FA-18s?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So given what I saw in the picture, which was the canopy and the number of people inside the airplane, I believe it was an FA-18. I saw nothing to identify it. I want to make one more point.
Sure.
And that is, you and everybody else I know has seen this movie Fox did called The Phenomenon, and you had him on and talked to him about it. And near the end of that movie, he interviews the former Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid. And Harry made a really amazing statement, and that is that by far and away, most of the evidence the U.S. government has collected has never seen the light of day. And so there is some positive probability that what I saw is not what, in fact, everyone is talking about. I just believe, given the things that I have heard, it is the same picture that I saw. So, but it may not be, because I think there are just thousands of pieces of evidence that are laying around that could be shown. There are aspects of them that we don't want to let out because it reveals something of the United States capabilities. But I just believe there's huge gobs of evidence that I haven't seen the light of day. And I saw some, and it was amazing to me that as soon as Tim's article came out and he got to put out a video, I had seen that photo last spring. And then the stories kept coming about this USO triangle that looked like one I had seen earlier than that. And I know a report was being passed around the government for the government to develop an official statement. And I believe that report influenced what Susan Goff at the Pentagon and the Office of Naval Intelligence said about the videos that we know TTSA got out for us. And now we know from the phenomenon that Chris Mellon was the person who got them from inside the Pentagon, delivered to him, and walked away with them. I mean, we learned a lot from that movie.
Yes.
Including how much evidence there is.
Yeah, certainly. When do you think what you were shown was authentic?
Oh yeah, I don't believe there's no reason that I can think of, and no motivation for me to have been shown crap, because wasn't well known that I had any interest in that, but that stuff at all. Just there was no knowledge of it, no reason for them to know.
Now, a couple of other quick questions. Were you able to think about size? You know, how big this craft was?
Yeah, so the triangle, didn't have any perspective in order to say, is it 1,000 meters away or 100 meters away? It was pretty resolved, so it's not going to be 10 kilometers away because it's huge. So if it's 10 kilometers away, this thing is massive. If it's 100 meters away, it's not so large. Okay, so some of the writing about the so-called Batman balloon video, they talked about how close they had flown to it. There was some description of their interaction, but I only saw one photo. And they got close enough to, I think, tell that it wasn't a balloon.
Yeah, I don't think that was a balloon. I don't know what it is in the image, but not at that altitude. It's not an 18-inch balloon. No, it's not. Which means it would have been shot inside of the wingtip, right? I mean, it would have been right there. And that's not the way that image looks to me. It looks much further away. But there's no way to triangulate, just like with the image that you saw. There's no way to triangulate.
Yes.
But now there's other things that had to have gone through your mind, us or them, right? What are we looking at? Did you think you were looking at something terrestrial or something else?
No, I didn't.
You didn't think it was terrestrial?
No.
You think?
Look, Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo and others have said. Chris Mellon has said it in the phenomenon, that he was in charge during the 2004 Nimitz incident and following that of the special access programs for the Pentagon. If we were working on that, Chris Mellon would know. He had access to the special access programs. He sat on the panel that managed that for the Department of Defense. So unless it was not a Department of Defense program and hidden under some other cover inside the government, he knew about it. And so I don't believe it's ours, given what he said, and I don't think we have anything like that, or we would use it against our adversaries.
So you don't think it was the TR-3B is what I'm getting at? You
don't think it was? I just don't.
Wow. What are the odds, if you were a betting man, what are the odds that it is going to make its way into the public domain, whether it's through the debrief and Tim McMillan or some other avenue?
I really hope the debrief gets it. I just think that their approach, their clear writing, their lack of any wild speculation is appealing to those that want this story out. And it's clear to me, there is a group inside the government that wants these stories out. Or Senator Rubio wouldn't have added language to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence Report that eventually made it into the COVID-19 bill and is now law of the land. And there wouldn't be other things going on, reports being passed around the government for developing a public position, internal document for what the realities are, what's going on, and what is the public position going to be. That stuff wouldn't be passed around the government if it was an internal program, or that what they did, there wasn't a group or a high-ranking group inside the government that wanted this story out. That's just not how it works. The government coordinates. The reason they do that is they don't want the Navy telling the story that screws the Air Force. They don't want the Air Force telling the story that screws the et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's passed all over government at a high enough level that decision making can happen, and their input say here's the way it'll work. It'll be marked. Don't say this and because. Or don't say this, and here is the classification number that says you can't put this in the report. That's how it works. It's passed all over. The final version goes, and somebody releases it.
I want to talk specifically about the report for a second. Is there anything directly from either pilot in the report?
I believe that there's testimony, but I don't remember the details of the testimony. Of their testimony about what happened. I believe there's a description of what they saw. I don't recall the details of what they said.
Right. Okay.
Because it's been a while.
Well, but I totally agree with you that their testimony is as important as anything in this. We need to hear from them, don't we?
Look, we got one brave Navy pilot, Lieutenant Ryan Graves. Navy Lieutenant Ryan Graves, who's come out and talked about what he saw in the Theodore Roosevelt incident, where he and his wingman almost had a collision with an object, and decided it was bad enough they would write a report, and their captain approved them writing this report. Okay, if we had more people like that, it would really be great. I'm hoping UAPTF lets that kind of testimony out.
Well, if we go back to the three videos, the Tic Tac, the FLIR, and the Gimbal, the Go Fast, without the independent testimony, those videos are just videos.
Yeah, but the lovely part is you have the cockpit audio, the ship to air audio. You have lots of audio in that stuff, and these pilots and air crews and people on the ships are now able and allowed, and even I think encouraged, to go out and tell the story.
Yeah, and so we need to hear from these two pilots. The work of TTSA, which seems to, and we'll talk about it more, has come to a pretty abrupt halt. With the exodus of Lou and Chris and Steve Justice. Is it the debrief that is now going to be the back channel for the Pentagon?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not part of the debrief, and they I believe that I'm friendly with those guys on social media, but I don't really have any internal interactions with them, so I don't know their brief or who their contacts are or what their sources are. I just don't know.
Why do you think the three of them decided now to leave TTSA? What's the story behind that?
I believe that they were constrained by corporate policy and what they could say. And wow, the change in Lou Elizondo since he left. Praising UFO Twitter, going on multiple shows, telling stuff that he's never told before, and some things that are, I hear are coming. I hope it's true. And he is just completely transformed. And I don't believe Chris and Lou and Steve Justice are the type that want to belong to an entertainment company. And TTSA's principal product to date, outside of the initial videos and the hoopla, have been the books and the movie projects, etc., that are being, and Angel on Airwaves, because those are that asset is owned by TTSA. I don't believe that they've done anything but art and media. So I just don't think those guys are interested in that. Chris and Lou are interested in influencing the government to officially get involved with the study of this, and we should.
Do you think? Now, I just want your opinion, okay? But if we go back and we look at the timing of certain things, and we go back to the formation of TTSA, Lou quits the government the day before TTSA does their public offering, right? That was the announcement. And then 3 years later, Lou quits TTSA as the same week that the UAP task force gets funded. And I'm just wondering, as an outside observer, is that too much of a coincidence, or is Lou doing the same thing over and over again, like he did when he left the government with TTSA? Now he's leaving TTSA when the UAP task force is funded. Is the timing of that beyond coincidence?
So I don't believe that I believe that's too much to just be a coincidence. Okay, I believe there is a relationship. So if I were a betting man and guessing man, given the way Lou is out and about talking to UFO Twitter and other things, that it's unlikely he will go back into a top secret special intelligence, highly classified special access program project, because that'll end his relationship. We'll never hear from him again until that ends. Okay, so the person I think is most likely to be on the inside is Mellon, and because he worked at a very high level. I mean, the UAP task force would be very lucky to have a guy that knows the major players on the Senate Select Committee on, since he used to work for them. And after that, he became Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence and worked for Cohen. And so the guys played at a high level. They would be lucky to have him. And I think that's the kind of place, given he's gotten all that going, he'd love to be back in the mix doing the actual work rather than sitting on the outside. I just feel like that. So it's my opinion that it's likely Mellon goes in. I don't see Elizondo making the moves to get back in because he's talking too much and out loud. And but I could be wrong. And Steve Justice, he's an engineer. He is one of the best engineering managers that's ever worked for the government or one of its contractors. He can go find a job anywhere if he wants to. And he's just never been one of these people that's out front.
So is TTSA now, just in your opinion, I think it's the opinion of many, But just an entertainment company now, the research side of it is gone.
I know that the entertainment division is still there and going. I know that Ryan had a conversation with Jim Semivan and was assured with some details that TTSA was still going. I am unaware of any of the engineering activities. Like, for example, I don't know whether this machine learning, artificial intelligence, Scout, etc. stuff is actually going forward. And the problem any such effort has is it takes a ton of development, a ton of data to train the machine learning models to do what they wanted it to do, which was take cell phone data from a user, put it in and say, hey, that's a UFO or whatever. So it was doing classification of events, not unlike what SkyHub is doing, except you have to have gobs of data to train the models, and storing all that data requires cloud storage, and it's expensive. I believe they didn't have the money to pull it off, and I could be wrong. So the Vault and the Scout were one of the best things they were proposing, and I'm just unaware of how they're going to do it. I don't believe they have the developers, and the reason I don't believe they don't have the developers is the kind of people that would do that for a job are beyond expensive. They're just extremely expensive because they can demand $250,000 a year or more doing it for a big corporation. Why would they do it for TTSA as a volunteer? And so I just don't believe it. So that kind of people are working for SkyHub, but nobody's making any money on SkyHub. Everybody that's working on SkyHub is a volunteer.
How does a team work on AI, which is something that you do, but how big is that team? It's not it's not one coder, right?
No, because the work is too hard.
It's too hard.
You got to have somebody whose job it is to manage the computational infrastructure, and somebody whose job it is to do the architecture for the machine learning environment, and somebody who's a specialist in writing machine learning code to train the model. Somebody else's job is to take the model and manipulate it so it can be used on a small embedded device without having to spend a nuclear power plant to run the computer. You could run it with a battery out in the field for a year. Okay, it takes several. You got to package it so that it will work in any environment. This takes a serious team. I just don't believe they can afford that team.
And how are you pulling?
The reason I say that is, look at their public statements that they are required to file about their financial status. Somebody's writing personal checks or they don't have the money.
And how are you guys pulling off nearly the same thing with SkyHub?
Well, everybody's doing it. It's a volunteer activity. It's slower, but it's cheaper.
And yeah, exactly. And how many engineers do you have working on the team right now?
I'm going to guess, because I don't know them all, because I'm not doing all of it. I'm only doing my one little piece, which I'm happy to describe. But I'm going to guess 50.
Oh, substantial. I mean,
I think it's about 50. So there's a team, and each of these teams works on one aspect, and they have volunteers that work with them. And so, if you have Steve McDaniel, Corey Gaspard, Richard, who did the 3D printed box for everything. So each of them has a team, and you've got the science division director. It's a team of people, and each of them has a team of people working for them. So the Mad Scientist podcast, Chris Cogswell is running the science advisory group, and I am a member of the science advisory group. I don't run it. I'm a member of it because I make recommendations about things I'm expert in. That's how it works, and it's a public interest project with a public interest group and an internet footprint. And we just don't want to have to spend a ton of money on people, because we're not finding it any problem to get people to work because nobody's getting paid.
how close are you? We've just got a couple of minutes before the break. How close are you guys?
I can plug my little computer. I would show it to you so nobody else can see it but you. Plug my little computer into the camera, and it will grab pictures of things flying overhead in the sky. And it'll listen to airplanes, compute where satellites are. It'll take temperatures, measure gravitational anomalies, on and on. So, and what I'm trying to do personally is, as you said earlier, I'm a software-defined radio expert. So I've taken a special software-defined radio. I'm going to plug it into one of these little NVIDIA embedded devices and listen to a television station transmitter or an FM station transmitter and look for those signals to bounce off an object in the air, and I can track it. That's a passive radar. So I'm trying to add passive radar so that if an image is seen, we can compute how far away it is, how fast it's moving relative to us, and track it across the sky. So we want this to be pretty doggone sophisticated. And the nice thing is the cost of the computers that need to be run to do these algorithms has fallen through the floor. The passive radar board from NVIDIA is $59. So, and it's a supercomputer.
Right. And the is it tied into like flight tracker?
Yes. So flight aware.
Yeah, flight aware, flight tracker.
We have a thing called an RTL SDR. So it's a software-defined radio plugs into it. Into the software-defined radio comes an antenna that's tuned to 1090 megahertz. Because on 1090 megahertz, every commercial airplane in the world transmits a beacon. And so when a plane flies over that's from a commercial or military and not doing a secret operation, they are required by law to emit this beacon. We can track them right overhead and say, that's not a UFO, that's an airplane from United Airlines at 35,000 feet going 600 knots to the southeast. Don't track it. Yeah, we have all of that in there. And then we don't want to track Elon Musk's satellites. So there's an algorithm which computes where Elon Musk's satellites are and several others and ignores those flashes when they go across the sky.
Now, I got to take a break right here. But if this is running and everything is cool, right? Everything's running. What do you think the percentage of unknowns would be on a night?
Oh, so it depends. So, and the answer is, if you live way out in the middle of nowhere, there's not many people and so forth, you don't even have many knowns. So almost everything you see will be an unknown if it's in your machine learning code's ability to classify it. So it'll throw a bunch of things in unknown. But if you're in an area near an airport, you're really going to have some trouble of picking out, without using all of the sensors, a video image of an actual unknown from things that are known. So you have to work at it. So it depends on where you are. You have different false alarm rates, different false detects, different false negatives, and so forth. All of that stuff is used to make the model better. The way it works is the data you gather goes into the cloud. And in the cloud, an automatic program is run that makes the model better. And so it's just over time. You know how Tesla sends data back, and every now and again they send new program elements so the car works better? SkyHub is going to do exactly the same thing, and it's already doing it.
It's eliminating. I need to take a break right here, Bob. So let's get that in. When we come back, I want to continue this conversation about SkyHub. I'm fascinated with that. We got a lot more to talk about tonight. Our guest, Bob McGwier. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Oh, Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
Old New England Soap is committed to producing the highest quality organic and goat milk soaps available anywhere. We take pride in using the purest ingredients and avoiding the typical shortcuts used by other soap makers. Because goat milk is what feeds your skin, we have formulated our soap to use the maximum amount of goat milk possible, 38%, more than double any other brand. Not because it's easy, but because our soap is always better. We are proud to offer you what we consider to be truly premium quality handmade soaps. What's more, our soap does not contain GMO ingredients, pesticides, sulfates, dyes, artificial colors, alcohol, or petroleum products. Try our new shampoo bar and pooch soap, and be sure to see all of the great scented woodwick soy candles that burn soot-free for up to 100 hours. Right now, save 15% on your order and get free shipping on orders over $45. Buy now at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. Not available in stores. oldnesoap.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Bob McGwier. And before we get to Bob, I want to talk to you about Virtual Shield VPN. Been talking about this all week because right now there are suggestions that our credit scores might be based on our internet history in the near future. The same way banks use data like income to judge credit eligibility right now is how websites could use internet search history in the future. Now, this is what is interesting. Researchers studying the relationship between finance and tech
found that data from your browsing, your search history, and your purchase history could be used to decide your credit in the future. This is not a joke. Now, if you want to prevent this from happening to you, use the best VPN you can right now to keep everything, your search history, separate from your personal data. I highly recommend using Virtual Shield. It is the only thing we used here in the bunker. It's built from the ground up for privacy. That's why there's such a strict no logs policy. Go to virtualshield.com/fade to black. You can go over to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the banners there. You can get right now 50% off of your order today, or you can click on the link in the video description box right below this video. Virtual Shield VPN. Now, our guest tonight, Bob McGwier, and we're talking about his organization that he's a member of SkyHub and the SkyHub Science Advisory Group. And it's skyhub.org. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Bob, earlier you were talking about the ability to tap into television and radio antennas and use those for passive radar. Can you get a size of the unknown? Can you get a size of the craft?
Probably not. And the reason is given that we're using passive radar and we don't want people who are deploying this radar equipment to have to spend lots and lots of money, we're not likely to find an emitter that puts out enough power and at a high enough frequency that we can resolve what's on the craft. So you'll see a blob that reflects stuff, but it won't have any detail in the radio frequency image of the blob.
So, but when everything is clicking on all cylinders and you've got a camera system employed, you will be able to capture video and images of the unknown at that moment.
Yes. All things will be tied together and all the sensors will be fused into one data object. So you'll have video, you'll have radar image, you'll have temperature, pressure, gravity, a magnetometer, all of that stuff will be fused together into one data object to send off and put in our cloud for any science person or whoever wants to look at the data.
Now, what are we looking at as far as a timeline go to full implementation?
So we've got about 25 people with everything fully developed and testing it out now. I would say there's no doubt COVID-19 has slowed everything down.
Sure.
I'm going to guess by summer everything will be out. And my feelings are it's before then, but I am pretty sure summer will have everything out.
Now, how can everybody help out and possibly support?
Okay, so go to skyhub.org. That's one thing. But then join in the interactions with others who are doing development, writing documentation, etc. on chat.skyhub.org. Sign up for the chat, you use your email, and you go in and you interact with the developers, with other users, with people who are building things. And it's 7/24, 365 days a year. There's somebody on there that can help you because there are hundreds of people signed up for that. And you will always find somebody there that will help you get going.
Whose idea was this originally?
Okay, so Steve McDaniel and I and Joel Griffin founded UAPTN. And we set up a corporation. Joel decided he didn't want to go on. Steve decided that a corporation was not the right way to go. And so this public development group was started called SkyHub. I transferred all of the assets of UAPTN, which was money, equipment, etc., to the SkyHub activity. And that's the way it went. And then Steve and Corey and others, which you can see if you go over to skyhub.org and look at the team directory, you will see who is now kind of people who are in charge of some part of it.
Is it a loose organization like I'm going to say anonymous, in that everybody is playing their part and coming to the party,
but there isn't a defined financial hierarchy.
There's not a defined financial hierarchy at all.
Right.
There is serious technical leadership, principally provided by Steve McDaniel. If there is a clear leader of SkyHub, it's Steve McDaniel. And you've got lots of other people who are contributing what they're good at. But Steve is the architect and writing the bulk of the actual tracker code.
Now, once everything, okay, let's move forward to midsummer. The question that it is on everybody's mind is this. Can I get a unit? Can I park it in my backyard, whether I'm in Joshua Tree or Kansas City? Will I be able to do that? Can I become a part of the network? Is that the ultimate goal?
Yes. You will be part of the network. You will have to have internet access because we want the stuff to come to the cloud. So it'll help you and help it. You don't need to send all of your data to the cloud. The entire group will be better off if you send the data to the cloud. So you can do it all on your own, keep all the data locally and never transfer it. But I don't really think that helps.
No, that doesn't do any good.
I don't think it. Well, it may do you some good, but it doesn't do the world any good.
Right.
So, but the answer is you can park it in your backyard. You can park it in your backyard. I'll tell you one of the people that has volunteered to have one near her, and that's Melinda Leslie in Sedona.
Sure. Yeah, she's perfect for that. Oh,
exactly.
Anybody in Sedona, but Melinda specifically would be great for that. Describe the unit itself. I mean, it's got to be weatherproof.
Yeah. So there's a 3D printed weatherproof box with ventilation assets on it, and there are doors. You can open the doors, reach in and work on the equipment, close the door, and it protects, and then air flows through. There's mounting positions for the individual hardware we recommend, and so what power supply to put in there, and it's pretty easy to build, and there's always some on chat to help you.
Now, cost.
So I would say an entry-level unit is, I'm going to guess $300 or $400 with everything.
That's it?
Yeah, because they're pretty inexpensive, and there is a benefactor whose name I don't know, who is underwriting the cost and tooling and everything else of these 3D printed boxes, and you'll just pay for the materials, and it'll be shipped to you.
So I can have an online cloud-based UFO tracking machine in my yard for $500.
Yep. So look, you can spend $5,000, but you don't need to do that to get started. And you can get a good camera, the temperature sensors, and all these other sensors, magnetometers, accelerometers, and etc., and plug it there, and it's $400 or $500. But the computer is $120. And then if you add the passive radar, then you're going to spend more than that. The passive radar is going to cost, I'm thinking, $300 to $400 all by itself.
Right.
Okay, so that'll be an expensive add-on. You can buy a $2,500 pan tilt zoom camera. On the other hand, you may not decide to do anything but put a $200 fisheye camera on it. Okay, so in other words, there's different levels of engagement. You can say, let me see if I like this. And I got to tell you, we had an early person come join SkyHub and is now a member of the official SkyHub team. They got a fisheye camera, plugged his little computer together in his box, and put it up on the roof of his apartment building in Houston. And he got 2 UAPs.
Man, I gotta get me one of these.
Yeah, Jimmy, it's just you should.
I just sell one of these. Get me a Oh man. Rita would do anything for me to start offing guitars to do something productive with my life. But this is exciting, and there has been, as you know, there's been several projects over the last few decades that have all had this idea behind it, right?
Yes.
A community organization. Let's get together. Let's figure it out. Let's try to get out of this network. Let's get the hardware done. Let's get some automation into this system. But today with technology, we're able to actually, put this together, because anything that you can dream up now, pretty much you can get done. And now this is the first opportunity where we can see this become real.
I think this is not completely original. We know of people near the border of New Mexico and Colorado that have tried to do this.
Yes.
They had a different overall approach. I'm not saying their approach is right or wrong. It's just different. And one of the things that we are insisting on doing, and everybody signs up to this, it's all open source. It's open specification hardware. There are literally no secrets. The data goes into a cloud. It's protected against tampering, and anyone can access the data. There are no secrets in SkyHub.
Now, and this is, okay, now let's get to the reality of the situation. Right now, the government is in control of acquiring this data and what is released to the public. That's it, right?
Yep.
Now you are able to do this privately. That's the first thing. Second, this is outside of the government's control.
That is correct.
Is there a possibility of opposition from the government? Look, they've had a monopoly, right? They've had a monopoly on the information. In fact,
let me say this: the government typically has the use of exquisite, extremely expensive, beyond ridiculously capable equipment that they don't want to advertise to our adversaries, or anyone else for that matter, how capable it is. What are the facts? You don't need that to detect UAPs. You don't need it. You can get by with what you can buy off Amazon.com and etc. Glue it together in your workshop and put it out on your roof and find UAPs.
I'm looking at some of the images from the SkyHub website right here, the enclosure version 1.1.
Isn't that enclosure beautiful?
Man.
Richard Hoff did that. So it's an international organization. Richard comes to us from Austria, and he designed it and says, how does this look? And we all fell in love with it. And so there's a benefactor come along that's going to, we believe is going to underwrite the cost of getting that going, and then you'll be able to buy one inexpensively.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bill of materials right here. Wow, this is exciting. What I don't see, I'm not poo-pooing on it, but the government has enjoyed our inability to do this.
Yeah.
They control.
Why do you think we're doing it? We want that to end.
Right. Is there? Do you vet the people that become a part of SkyHub?
No, some of them could be government disinformation agents.
That's my question.
No. Actually, no.
Richard Doty's not on the board of directors.
No. I don't think there is a board of directors. There's a team, and Richard Doty's picture is not a member of the team. He might be on the science advisory board because I don't know everybody who's on it.
I can't imagine because they want to control information. That's it. And having something like this out there, open source, ready to go, with data that they have been holding back from us because we can't handle the truth. Now we are in control of finding our own truth. Do you imagine some kind of opposition coming in, and would you be surprised if it happened?
I would not be surprised if somebody tried to talk some people out of it. I just don't understand the lever they will pull. So I don't work for the government anymore, and I don't have a clearance. So I don't see how they can pull a lever on me and keep me from doing passive radar.
Right.
Now, maybe they would say, hey, radar and software-defined radio are ITAR. And so you can't send that stuff overseas. It's too late. The facts are, by doing it open source and publishing the details in a written place of everything you've done, that's a loophole to escape out the door, and ITAR doesn't apply. And it's educational because it's an educational activity. Nobody's trying to make money. It's not a commercial activity. So there you go. They would have a hard time trying to close us down because we're not selling anything.
When you hear, yeah, exactly. We are purchasing the bill of materials on our own.
Exactly.
You're not a
That's
manufacturer.
That's one of the major reasons for doing it DIY. We won't have any, say, SEPT countries in Europe enforcing product acceptance on us, causing us to spend $1 million to make sure we don't interfere with the child's tinker toy. No, we don't want to fool with that.
Right, right. And I know you're watching me, Bob. I've got what's happening in your front yard over here, and things are really getting interesting right now.
We're right up next to it.
Woo, man. Maybe we'll know something by the end of the show. Pretty interesting. I'm just distracted. It's pretty fascinating to see things develop like that.
The future of our country and how it goes is determined by this. So it's interesting.
It's intense, man. It's intense. Let me say this. The audience doesn't know this, so let me just say this. I need my beauty nap. And so that is to say that I work all day, right? I'm writing, I'm in, and then I'm setting up, I'm getting things done, things done. And then at about 4 o'clock, I go to bed, right? I take a nap. I just take a nap. I take a power nap. I don't care if it's 15 minutes or if it's an hour, hour and a half, but I need to do it before the show. So when the show hits, I'm just fresh, right? I'm fresh. I'm good. I didn't take no power nap today.
No. At 4 p.m. Central Time, I turned on the news, and I was glued there. I had to set an alarm so I wouldn't be late for you.
I was like, and I went and talked to Rita. I said, she's like, did you take a nap? No. I went full circuit today, man. Yeah, this is just insane what is going down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. With what you know, what is it ultimately that Washington, D.C. knows about ET and contact that they are not telling us?
I can tell you the honest to goodness truth is I don't know. I've never been able to figure it out. I don't understand what. So let me go on. I'm being honest. I don't know what the reasons are, but I do know things. And what are they? There's got to be a reason that they are keeping the actual existence secret. They don't have to tell us a single classified fact to say these things exist. So that the only reason not to even admit the existence is, to me, it's something awful. That's how I feel about it. So I keep waiting for that shoe to drop, for the big leak that says, yes, we've kept it secret for 70 years. We've committed vicious crimes. We've done things that people could sue us to oblivion for, and it was all because we were covering up something awful. That's a story I can actually believe. Okay, so I don't, because I don't understand. I can't fathom a benign reason for keeping it secret, because from what you see in our literature, and if you believe it, and at the end of the Cold War, when the Soviet Union fell, the wall came down, and George went over to Moscow and looked at all the records and so forth and so on. The Russians and the Chinese have as many of these things as we are told we do by others. So they're checking into it as well as us. So it can't be us admitting this would give our adversaries an advantage. That just doesn't wash with me. I believe there's some aspect of this that they are afraid to tell us because it's awful.
Because they're terrified of it.
Yes. And we know that. All this stuff that we've heard of for 50 years about the Collins elite and that we're dealing with a demon, they're terrified.
The other part of that, though, Bob, and we'll talk about this more after the break, if it was benign and announcing a cooperation with ET or the acquiring of knowledge, not only free energy, but disease and health and everything else that could possibly go along with that, and getting help from our ET brothers, that's not a bad announcement. That's one that we could handle and we could understand. Okay? Yep. It just may be what you're suggesting.
Except everybody's watched Star Trek. So they may have the equivalent of the Prime Directive, which says they're not allowed to give us that stuff because in the interaction of an extremely advanced civilization with one that's not so extremely advanced, the one that's not so extremely advanced withers and dies. Maybe that's what they believe. And so they're restricting what they give us out of some principle like the Prime Directive. That would make sense to me. But still, that is not a reason not to tell the American people and the world they exist.
Well, okay, so then we have a, excuse me. So we have a problem. And the problem is this. In the most recent article published by the New York Times, Leslie Kean and Ralph Blumenthal, at the bottom of the article, buried, is that quote from Eric Davis, where he says, I debriefed the Senate and told them we are in possession of, and he didn't mince words, of crashed flying saucers.
Yep.
Now,
he did not mince words.
No.
And the New York Times editorial board allowed Leslie and Ralph to put, et cetera, put that in the article. That means the editorial board was convinced. How were they convinced? I don't know any other way than to be shown evidence.
Well, we need to take a break right here, but when we come back, we're going to continue this part of the conversation because what was confusing to me is that is a gift to a journalist. That paragraph is a gift. You chase down Eric Davis and go, WTF, right? What is it that makes you say this in the New York Times where you are quoted, and it's a gift, and nobody followed up on that?
Nobody.
I read that whole article, and I read the rest of the article. It was whatever. I told Ralph.
It was a rehash.
Right.
It was rehash.
And then that little piece, that little snippet.
That was a bombshell.
That was a bombshell. Nobody. Crickets. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Bob McGwier. Going to continue this conversation when we come back. I got the feeling that it's just getting started. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics help create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. That's UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Bob McGwier. I expected this kind of conversation tonight, and like I said before the break, we're just getting started. Saving the best for last, and just picking up where we left off. And that is Dr. Eric Davis and that quote in the New York Times, Bob, that said that the United States government is in possession of crashed flying saucers. Those are his words, not mine. What does, and I want to get to, we had Ryan Bledsoe on the show last night. I want to talk about Chris and what's going on down there. But I think everything is kind of tied together here. What is it that Eric Davis was trying to say? He didn't go back and correct his quote. He didn't change it. There wasn't a retraction by the New York Times. So it stayed there, and now that becomes part of the public record. It's there. Who was he speaking to at the Senate? The questions are obvious. Where's the congressional record of that debriefing, number one? And number two, were those the words that he used
with the Senate. I mean, because we're not talking about UAPs. We're not talking about Chinese technology. We're not talking about Russian tech. That's not what he said. He said flying saucers, right? Do you
Those
think
are the words that were in the New York Times?
Right. Are you in contact with Eric Davis?
So he and I have had an interaction a couple of times, but we're not acquaintances and not friends, and we don't interact.
What if you have to deduce something, extract something out of that statement? What was it that Eric said?
Well, I believe it's a quote. So I believe he said exactly those things. Now, the parts that are not in the article are the parts that Eric considered it was his duty not to tell because of classification. So I assumed he didn't say, here's who has it, here's where it is, here's what's being done to it, if he knows, because that's classified. But I don't understand what's classified about admitting the existence. I don't understand why the existence is a classified fact. And I can't believe he said that out in the open without permission, so that it was kind of already in some way declassified. So that's number one. Number two, if he gave that briefing to the Senate Select Committee or the House Intelligence Committee, that can be done off the record in the basement of the Capitol building, where there is a secure facility for giving classified briefings, and no one would know.
Now, there's two ways to look at this. A, he may have said it, but he didn't say it directly to any senators or a committee. He said it to an assistant.
Staffers.
A staffer in the hallway. Right. and it's he misled in the quote that he was, in a secret committee briefing where he's talking to senators, or it was something else and it was completely taken out of context. And Eric is misleading the New York Times and the public in that statement. Or it's just a lie. He never said anything to any senators, and he just made that statement because, and it's in there, and he did it for his own self-gratification. And I'm not saying I know anything. I'm saying there's only really two ways to look at this, or a possible third. It went down the way he said it did.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. Let me give you my perspective. My perspective is this. He continues to work in a classified environment for the Aerospace Corporation, which is the number one think tank for the National Reconnaissance Office, the Space Force, and the Air Force. They are the think tank for those three entities and others, but those are the big ones. He won't be able to keep his job if he's out lying to senators and members of the House at the Aerospace Corporation, because that's a federally funded research and development center, and Congress would cut his you-know-what off. It just wouldn't. It's just, I don't believe he's lying. I don't believe he did this without being allowed to. The evidence that, and my perspective, says he's at Aerospace, he's got his security clearance, what they do is classified work. He would be in trouble if he did that and went into the New York Times and he didn't have permission. I believe that was all approved and planned.
Okay, and I believe that is a possibility. I can lean on that side. So if we take that tack, why in the world didn't Leslie Kean or Ralph Blumenthal ask a follow-up question? Why did they just leave that lie?
Maybe they did ask follow-up questions, and he says this has to be off the record. Well, you can change it to off the record at any time.
Well, it's all right. The big stuff is already on the record, right?
So far as I'm concerned, that was major. Yeah. And so, look, remember, I'm telling you, I don't understand why there's been no admission of existence. So we've gotten really close. Them saying these things are unidentified aerial phenomenon that are interacting with our U.S. military personnel and flying over and acting out in closed military spaces, national security spaces, and we don't like it. Saying that's true is an existence proof of a phenomenon, okay, that they don't understand, otherwise they wouldn't say it's unidentified. That's number one. And number two, to then be allowed to go say, we have flying saucers in our possession, means they were piloted by an intelligence and a consciousness that is not us. That's what that says to me.
And the two don't mix. The two don't mix. Either you understand or you don't. If you want to say you don't understand the phenomena, we know things are coming in the air, but we don't quite understand what is going on. Okay, I get that. But if you have flying saucers in your possession, you are cognizant. You know exactly what is going on. So the two stories, it can't cross over. You can't have both examples be true.
So you can have the Office of Naval Intelligence and some groups in the Pentagon say, we see these things flying around the Nimitz and the Teddy Roosevelt, and they may not be anything like the flying saucers that we have in our possession. And therefore, those things are truly unidentified.
Is that okay? And that's an out.
Yes. So if they are not like what we have, they're unidentified. A B-52 doesn't look like a Boeing 737. So if I've never seen a B-52 before, but I have a Boeing 737 in the hangar, the B-52 is unidentified.
And the other problem that we have is either we're dealing with something benevolent or malevolent. We have the UAP task force and the Senate and the presentations to them about interference with our military and the fear factor there. We've got to defend and protect our borders and our military. So the fear factor is played. And then you have the other side with Chris Bledsoe and others that have had nothing but kind interaction, where there hasn't been any offensive plays going on. The government is in communication with Chris Bledsoe about this fact, right? Again, we have the two things conflicting, don't we?
So there are members of the government or former members of the government that interact with Chris Bledsoe. Okay, so it is not well known, and I'll just tell you, several members of TTSA, which was announced to all of us in the fall of October 2017, that been to Chris Bledsoe's house, interacted with him in 2015, 2 years before TTSA was announced. Okay, so they may not have been a corporation then, but they knew each other and they interacted with Chris. And if the story we were told is true, if the story we were told is true, that's my phone. I'm very sorry.
Man, I thought that came from in here.
No, man, I'm sorry. Let me mute this thing. Okay, so anyway, that came from.
Was that the NSA? Was that the NSA?
No. Somebody's sending me a text. They're listening to me, and I'm getting texts. Okay, they're listening to us, and I'm getting texts. Anyway, sorry about that. So, and what do I know? I know the first time Chris and Lou Elizondo interacted. I know that Jim Semivan and Tom DeLong sat at a table in Chris Bledsoe's yard and had coffee with him, because I've seen the picture and the metadata says 2015. Okay, so I'm just telling you, these guys have been. So what else do I know? If Lou Elizondo is interacting with Chris Bledsoe and it's before October of 2017, he was still with the government, because that's when he resigned. Okay, I'm just telling you, a lot of stuff, there's lots of clues. You can put together stuff that excludes a bunch of crap. And you get it down to where the government was involved with Chris. We don't know why. We have these hints. We don't know exactly what was going on. And then he has a lot of stuff that he hasn't told. He has lots of stuff that he has not told, and I hope he can tell soon.
I can't wait till the next time he's on the show. But let me back up. I'm sure you listened to Tom DeLonge's interview with me, right? You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
There were lots of little snippets in that interview, if you go and pick it apart, where you can go, aha. All right? You've got to listen really closely. But there was one thing, this goes back to exactly what you're talking about right here. Tom said that there was a religious component to UFOs and contact that we had to be careful of. Be careful what you wish for. You're out there, you're calling these you don't know what you're doing. And, I'm paraphrasing here for Tom, but you could be calling in a demonic craft, for instance. And he had said that there are those in Washington, D.C., in the Pentagon, and in agencies that are aware of this fact, and it scares the crap out of them. And they have religious beliefs and a fundamental upbringing, and, they're Christians. And this part of ufology scares them, and they know this. This goes back to Chris and the interaction with everybody. I was talking to Ryan about this last night on the show. I'm sure you were listening.
I'm sorry, I was unable to listen.
Okay. Well, this aspect of it, the religious side of ET and UFO contact, is something that we need to address directly. And if Lou Elizondo is at Chris Bledsoe's house in 2015, well, you know that this is what Chris is talking about. He's talking about the lady. He's talking about his interaction. He's talking about the benevolence. He's talking about his information that he has collected and what he feels.
I hope one day that Jim Semivan and Chris can sit down and talk openly about their interactions about the white lady, because I believe it's the principal reason Semivan got in contact with him. Now, it's their story to tell and not mine, but I can tell you it was a huge deal in Semivan coming and talking to Chris, and he's given him constant advice about how to do these interactions. He's told him, if you get these weird orbs and they're this color, don't get too close to them because you'll be harmed. They know a lot of stuff. I'm just feel like I'm not certain Chris is served well by not having complete information. I think he's probably been harmed by actinic and other kinds of radiation that are coming from these things, and the government knows about it.
Now, okay, I'm going to ask you directly. We have the Tic Tac. We have the Tic Tac testimony, I should say. Let's go with that and the evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that.
Yeah.
And the perceived threat on these battle groups. Okay? All right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then we have Chris and his interaction, which you are a firsthand, you're part of the family, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So is the interaction with the Tic Tac the same interaction with the same craft, the same intelligence as Chris Bledsoe?
I see no evidence to make that conclusion.
So we're talking about two different extraterrestrial intelligences.
We're talking about two different things. I don't know that they're extraterrestrial. I literally don't know. But I can tell you they are two different things. They present differently. And
do you think that is what, Tyler, everybody else that was showing up out at Jim Semivan is in play. He's CIA for sure. And for those showing up at Chris's place, that they know about both incidents, right? When they're there, right? Am I reading this the wrong way?
No. I mean, especially Elizondo, since he was ATIP.
Right. Right. And so they're talking about two different situations, right?
I don't know that that's been conveyed. I'm just telling you the description given to us by the air crews and the crew. I've talked to Kevin Day and I've talked to others, and they're just different. They're very different. Chris sees orbs and that sometimes do odd things and communicated with him in a weird way, none of which I've seen, but he reports it regularly, and others seem to think he's telling the truth. And on the other hand, I've had weird things happen in his presence that I saw with my own eyes. Now, I didn't see the lady, I didn't hear voices in my head or have messages given to me or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just telling you, these things are very different than a Tic Tac flying over. The other thing is, the thing that just scares the absolute crap out of the Navy is extremely clear if you're aware of how all this works. Fravor lost sight of the Tic Tac, and he decided to return to the battle group having lost contact. He was given the place to go and assemble in a parking place before he goes and lands on the ship. And he headed that way, and the Princeton called him and said, "You're not going to believe this. They are at your cap point." That got sent to Fravor and his wingman by encrypted communications channel, and they had broken it. To them, with that and evading and blocking and reflecting and manipulating their radar, those two things to the Navy are acts of war.
With Fravor's testimony versus the video evidence, are we talking about the same thing?
It looks to me like they're identical because they happen to the same group of people. They happen to the Black Aces on the Nimitz. The things that got shown in that one infrared video happened with the Nimitz. Some of the other things are different.
Right.
The Go Fast and the one that gimbal, those are, I think, with the Teddy Roosevelt in 2014 off the East Coast and the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's correct. But what I'm referring to is in the Tic Tac video, and especially when the Tic Tac goes to the left.
Yeah.
In that
hypersonic.
It wasn't hypersonic, but that's a whole nother debate. If you didn't have Fravor's testimony, right? You didn't know Fravor, and you're looking at that Tic Tac video. I wouldn't
think much of it.
You wouldn't think anything of it, would you?
No, I would think it was CGI. Because there was no look. If you want to ask me that there's some unknown intelligence operating a craft in front of the Navy, and the actual people that gathered the evidence aren't allowed to say, "Look, we tried to track this thing. We tried to run it down, and every time we got close, it would move off, and then zip, it would be gone at hypersonic speeds to the horizon." You wouldn't believe it was anything else. They never tracked it going hypersonic speeds.
Yeah, and it's strange for me that I hear and I believe Fravor. I do. He saw something. Us, theirs, whatever. He saw something extraordinary. No question about it.
Yep.
But what's in that video is not what he is describing. Not to me. I don't see it. Right?
We definitely don't see the thing flitting around, doing non-ballistic motion, instantaneous acceleration a few feet above the water after having dropped 80,000 feet to the surface of the water in 30 seconds. We saw none of that.
Do you think we're going to head towards a break, and then, Bob, you're going to be doing overtime with us, so if you think you're going to bed or you're going to go watch Fox News, that ain't happening, okay? Is there a chance that our military was just test subjects of our own technology, Northrop Grumman or what have you?
The people involved giving us testimony are, including Mellon and others, say those things were unknown, and they were in charge of intelligence in the Pentagon. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you do not fly in a battle group that has loaded for bear and don't tell them you're there. They may decide, we think you're a threat. We're going to shoot you down. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they did. Didn't they communicate to Fravor and his wingman? Do you have armed missiles, right, or something like that? Are you guys good to go? Right? They did ask him that, right?
They said, "What are you? How are you loaded out?"
Yeah, how are you loaded out? Well, there's
they went their bingo weapons. They had none.
Oh, that's right. That was the response. But they did ask him if he was able to shoot something down.
I think they asked what ordnance he had on board, and he said none.
Right.
Dummies. He had dummies.
Right. All right. We need to take a break right here. We're going to continue all of this in just a minute. When we come back, I want to talk about Ryan and Chris specifically. Ryan last night, I think it's one of the most extraordinary shows I've ever done on Fade to Black, and I've done 1,400 shows. So that says a lot, right? And Ryan, I pushed him, but he said some things last night that myself and the audience had never heard, for the first time. And I want to thank him for his honesty and his openness, but he's hiding something, right? He is. He's holding back, and he's doing everything that he can. And he fought me last night, and I'm going to give him credit. He stood his ground. But Ryan and Chris, they know things, don't they?
Yes. I want them to tell.
Let's take our break right here. I'm going to leave it right there. There's so much to cover tonight. We're going to go into overtime with Bob McGwier. Very important day for the United States and what is going down right now in the state of Georgia. And if something resolves concretely before the end of the show, I'll say a little something. Other than that, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, our guest, Bob McGwier. I'll be back with overtime right after this. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
The older we get, the more important it is to stay active and healthy. I exercise regularly, eat right, but recently some new aches and pains have really put a cramp in my routine. A good friend recently told me about Angioprim. She said Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement, helping people since 2003. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, calcium, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages and lead to unexplained pain. Research shows the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that may help promote good cardiovascular health. After a few weeks of taking Angioprim, my pain was gone. Now I'm back and more physically active than ever. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim right now, 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great night. An amazing way to kick off 2021. Last night, Ryan Bledsoe was here tonight, Bob McGwier. Tomorrow night, Isaac Arthur is here. We'll be talking physics and science all night. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. Tonight, Bob McGwier. We are now into overtime. And, man, I've talked my butt off today. I'm going to hit this water really quick. I'm out of coffee, but the water is dark. So there you go. All right, Bob, overtime is where I'd like to open things up and have a little more fun. But I want to ask you this. What made you approach Chris Bledsoe and his family?
Okay, so that's really straightforward. 2017 came, all the crap hit the fan with TTSA, and I became curious. So I began to look around, and I didn't see much that attracted me in ufology except for Richard Dolan because of his seriousness and his writing ability and so forth. So I joined Richard Dolan members. He formed Richard Dolan Forum. I fairly quickly became a fairly prominent member of the Richard Dolan Forum. And this was before I was the moderator and the admin. Okay, so he interviewed Chris in 4 interviews, which took an hour and a half each. They were in-depth, detailed interviews, really well done. And to that date, they were the best interviews I'd ever heard with Chris. And I learned the names of lots of people in government that I knew of, or I knew that were interacting with Chris. So I wrote him on Facebook, I think it was, and said, Chris, look, I'm a scientist, Virginia Tech. I've become interested in all of this, and with the TTSA coming out in the open, and I'd like to come and visit. And he didn't respond for 2.5 or 3 weeks. And after 2.5 or 3 weeks, he said, yes, you can come. And I says, well, look, I'd like to bring my wife, and my wife and I will come over and stay in a hotel for a little bit and visit with you and get to know you, and so you can see that we're human beings. And I'm a scientist, and I'm interested in doing observational science at your place. So I got over there. We did a lot of talking, especially the first 2 days when it was rainy. And he told me that Jim Semivan was the one that told him to allow me in, and that this would be interesting. So I began investigating, and I decided that I would try to do some observational science, especially after I saw the things flying over our head and the popping flash bulbs going off in the sky and the purple auras floating over the trees. I went, okay, there's something to this guy. And we just interacted, and I saw stuff and decided that I would try to do something that would help all people who had these kinds of experiences collect data that anyone would believe.
Had you seen a UFO up to that point?
Okay, so the answer is when I was young, I built a telescope, stayed out in the yard a lot at night, and when all of this began to occur, these childhood memories began to return. And so I saw stuff in my yard, and I regularly had what my mother now calls missing time. And the reason I say that is she would get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, come out in the yard and say, what are you still doing out here looking through the telescope? And I would tell her, you're wrong. I've only been here for 30 minutes. And it would be 2 to 2.5 hours. So the last missing time incident happened when I was 19 years old. I picked up my girlfriend from university, and we headed out to take the 2 to 2.5 hour drive home on a Friday night. And we lost an hour to an hour and a half. We wound up in the middle of nowhere at a crossroads, no idea where we were, no idea how we had gotten there. And it was just so weird. And then we just figured out where we were by driving 3 or 4 miles, went home, said we got lost, sorry for being late. And then we just forgot about it. But within 2 weeks, I changed everything about my life. I left the university I was attending, went to a different school, changed over to engineering and mathematics and physics, and totally changed my life shortly after that missing time. I have no memory of what happened in the missing time. I'm just telling you my whole life changed after it. And so I haven't done regression. I've signed these pieces of paper that says I will never allow that to happen unless I have a cleared hypnotist, and nobody's going to give me a cleared hypnotist. So I'm just telling you how it all happened.
And now you're seeing things at Bledsoe's house. So from that age until Chris,
I don't have any memories of any. I don't have any memories of anything.
Okay, so what's going through your mind at Chris's place? You know, it's
Man,
like the end of.
I'm sure you can imagine. I'm going WTF over
right.
as I'm seeing this stuff.
Right. And you're a scientist.
Yep.
So did any of this look physical? Okay, you're a physicist.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what I mean by that is you have light, you have imaging, you have electromagnetic things that could be happening, and then you have metallic nuts and bolts craft type of situation.
I did not see a flying saucer at Chris's.
Right.
Now, John Alexander did. Other people have seen flying saucers with Chris. I have not. What I saw was these gigantic, very bright, whatever they are. I'm going to call them an orb, but they were big. And they just popped open. And I went, oh, if I had an electromagnetic sensing device and that popped out like that, I would get a pulse that I could record as a signal. And then we saw these little flash bulbs popping in the trees. And this really weirded me out. I don't mind telling you. So I saw these flash going off in the trees, and it was January, and it was too cold for it to be lightning bugs. So I went, things look like lightning bugs popping in the trees. He says, oh yeah, that happens all the time. He says sometimes they pop like that, and they turn into a 40-foot wide orb. I went, really? And then I said inside my head, I really wish they'd move out of the trees so I could see them. They went right up into the air, started popping in the air as if they had read my mind.
Now, were you able to later get some measuring equipment in to see what was going on?
Okay, so that's an excellent question. And all of those plans were laid, and COVID happened. And Chris wouldn't let anybody come to his house. And frankly, now I know I would have not want to go to his house. And members of his family have had COVID.
Right.
And he has medical issues that he shouldn't be around people who are sick and so forth. And so all of that stuff has gotten in the way. Now, we're about to get vaccinated, and I think that I'll be able to go and do some observational science because I really want to.
What do you think ultimately is going on when you see, as a scientist, where you know what waves are, photons, right? I see these electromagnetic phenomena, and I don't have a clue. Right.
That's the reason I want to gather data.
We when I say we, it was 150 of us, Bob. You probably heard me tell the story before, but we're out one night, and this, I don't have another way to explain it other than it was an aquamarine light in the sky, and it was big, right? It wasn't small, it was big, and it took up a big chunk of the sky. I don't know how it was at night. I don't know how high up it was, but if I was going to guess, I'm going to say a mile, not up in the stars, right? Just above us. But it was green, and it like flickered, and it made this backward Z in the sky. And it lasted about, it went zit, zit, zit. That's how long it lasted. So what is that, 2 seconds? Second and a half, 2 seconds? Everybody's screaming. We all saw it, and as it trailed away, it like hit its high beams, right? It like flashed a couple of times saying goodbye. It was pretty trippy, but I don't know if that was physical. You know what I mean? We saw it, but I don't know if it appeared and then disappeared. Do you understand what I'm saying? And
Well, so let me say this: as a person who understands physics and electromagnetic fields, and how other things can produce these photons from the electromagnetic fields, that's physical. Okay, so something physically produced those things that you observed. I don't know what they are. I don't even have a clue. And one of the reasons it's so aggravated that we don't have enough data or a clue is it's all been kept a secret, and any data that's ever been collected has been hidden. So I was just determined, as are the other members in SkyHub, to get data that anybody can look at.
Well, and this is, you bring up such a great point. When we talk about those types of particles, those are particles, especially when we're talking about light, without mass, right? There's no mass there. E equals mc squared gets really complicated when we're talking about light, because then it's moving. There's got to be energy, E equals mc squared, but there's no mass. So there's no mass.
But they do transfer momentum when they interact. So they like a billiard ball. If a photon hits you and your body or cell or whatever absorbs the photon, it transfers momentum to you. So it acts as if it had mass, and the momentum which is the energy equals the Planck constant times the frequency of light it's emitting.
Right.
That's how that Planck times the frequency is the energy, and from that we get the equivalent mass by E over C squared is m. Okay, so we can get kind of a equivalent, but they're massless because they travel at the speed of light.
That's right.
And nothing with mass is allowed to travel at the speed of light in special relativity.
Because you would have infinite mass.
Infinite energy. Yes.
Infinite energy. And so, but this energy had shape, right? So the light is stopping to create the shape. That's the part that I can't wrap my head around what this phenomenon is. You can see
it should piss you off that you don't have any kind of data or recording or anything else that you could go to all sorts of experts and have them render opinions over what you got. It pisses me off. I should piss you off too.
Well, and this is the thing, and this is why I talk. Yes, you're right, and this is why I talk about it so often. There was 100 people there that saw this, right? They need me to speak about it. Right now, they're listening, going, "I was there. It was crazy." Yeah, they need me to talk about it, right? The phenomenon itself is real. Your SkyHub box, would it be able to pick up something like this?
Yeah, because you're going to see it moving, and so it's going to say, "I see an object moving, so let me put a box around it and track it. And while I'm tracking it, I'm going to get this video, and I'm going to run the video through the computer program, and it's going to say, that's not an airplane, that's an unknown." And then it'll go into the unknown bit bucket. And other scientists can look at it and all the other data that's collected at the same time and sent off to the cloud, and all that data will be available for analysis.
Now, all of these sky watches that go on, not only the ones that I'm a part of, but others that do this worldwide, now they have the ability to bring SkyHub to the sky watches, where some of these sky watches it's jumping off, man. It's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Things that are happening. And so the SkyHub will be able to document the events of the night of these sky watches, these CE5s.
Yeah, because first of all, you're going to start with a fisheye camera, and it's going to do all sky.
Right.
Anything that looks weird, that moves in the sky, it's going to record a video of it at fairly high resolution. And if you go all in, and once you see that you get something, you go all in and you buy a fancy pan tilt zoom camera. Later on, after the control of that pan tilt zoom is added to the software, so that we can tell you you're justified in spending that money on a pan tilt zoom camera, then you're going to be able to zoom in on it. It's going to track it all across the sky with a telescope and making a high resolution video. That hasn't been added yet, but it will be.
Now, okay. Now you mentioned Elon Musk and Starlink. One of the things as we're doing these sky watches is trying to determine what is a satellite and what is not. Now, Starlink, okay, I can see that. But what about that is...
So that's an excellent question, Jimmy. And let me give you as complete an answer as a person can give. The North American Defense Organization gives away the parameters of the orbit of every satellite in orbit, except for the most secret ones of the United States government. They just don't publish those elements.
You're not going to get NRO information.
You're not going to get NRO spacecraft.
Right.
Okay. But everything else, you'll be able to exclude and say, I don't care about that because that's Starlink, and it won't even record it.
Okay. Polar orbit satellites. Okay, this is the deal. When I'm out doing sky watches, I know my east, west, north, south orientation, and you can tell when things are going in one direction, east to west, and that makes a lot of sense. when you are tracking something that is going north to south, now we're in a more unique situation in that polar orbit satellites are rare. 1, 2, it's a heavy technology, and 3,
they're mostly spy satellites.
Mostly spy satellites. So if you're seeing something going from north to south at a pretty low altitude, as opposed to 200,000 feet or whatever out in some kind of orbit that is maneuverable. But if you're looking at something low and it's going north to south, generally speaking, that isn't going to be a traditional satellite. No. And that is going to be something that you can start to get into unknown territory.
Oh, yeah. And you'll classify it as unknown and record it.
I've always found that part interesting, because when you're out doing sky watches and you're trying to determine what is a satellite and what is not, I always go to directions. I always think about directions first. If it's going north to south, no. I'm thinking it's something that we really need to look at. Will SkyHub do that kind of determination?
Yes, and it's going to try to eliminate all known objects if its known object list corresponds to that thing you're seeing. So it will eliminate those things it knows are satellites. Okay, but if it doesn't know it's a satellite, there are going to be parts of its algorithm which you can say, if it doesn't do any weird zigzags, I don't care. So if it just goes through a polar orbit, who cares? It's going to be a spy satellite, and the government just hasn't told me it's theirs. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if I see an object and it's in a polar orbit, does it do a zigzag? Will I care? The answer is, I will care if the geometry of the situation tells me it cannot be illuminated by the sun. Therefore, it's self-luminous, and I'm damn sure going to record it.
Now, it doesn't matter if it's night or day with SkyHub.
It's correct.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If you can, because of the interface that is involved there with your photo and video imaging, FLIR, night vision, all of this is available. It doesn't matter what the camera is, right?
So the fisheye and the pan tilt zoom camera we have are IR sensitive.
Really?
Oh yeah. If you're during the daylight, it's hard to use IR, so you have an IR rejection filter, which is automatically clicked in, so you'll have the right color balance. At night, you don't care, so you turn the IR filter off, and now it's sensitive to IR.
I can't wait to get this. I can't wait to get the system.
I'm going to tell you that my personal belief is the UAPs that were captured in Houston that I believe are on the SkyHub channel on YouTube, they were caught because the fisheye had IR. Okay, so that's somewhere. Now, what else can we do? So I would love to put a diffraction grating on the front of the camera of the pan tilt zoom and get a spectrum. Because if I see something going overhead and I look at it with this diffraction grating and I do a video of its spectrum, and it's not equivalent to the spectrum of the sun, it's not reflecting light that's coming from the sun, it's self-luminous, and I care. And there's going to be all sorts of stuff like that.
And you can measure temperature?
Yeah. Yes, if it's black body radiation,
right,
and you know the spectrum, you know what its temperature is.
Going back to, a FLIR type of image, again, we're just talking about the camera and the filters, so you could see a hot side to a craft.
Yes.
Right? Engines, for example.
Yep.
And aircraft.
Yep.
That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I want to ask you really quick. I've just got 2 minutes left, Bob, and I should have done this earlier in the show. 2021 is now in front of us. There's a lot of conversation. We have it every year in the UFO community that this is the year, right? This is it. Here we go. It's 2021, the year of disclosure. Is it for you? What can we expect in 2021?
If things that are coming out in the debrief in the next week are as interesting as I think they might be, I believe we're going to get to learn a lot of stuff. So that's number one. Number two, even though the Rubio language from the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence made it into the bill, that then those two bills also funded the National Defense Authorization Act and included funds for UAPTF, the language about the public reporting is only a suggestion. We would love it if you would give us a report. It did not say you're going to give us a report or we're going to cut your things off.
It's not law.
It's not law. It's a suggestion.
Well, thanks for that bummer. I'm
just telling you. Look, you know me, dude. I'm going to tell you how it is.
I do.
And it's not a mandate. It's a suggestion.
So the 180 day that is out there all over the net. Everybody published that knowledge, right?
Yep.
COVID bill in. Here we go.
They should have put the caveat. It's in the COVID bill. It's not defense authorization or intelligence mandate. It's please give us a report at the end of 180 days. Now, I hope they'll do it. And it's up to everyone hearing my voice and anybody they can talk to call your congressman and rabble-rouse.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you so much. And SkyHub is a really big deal. And I know that the team is there to get this done. But I want to be one of the first, okay? So when this gets ready to kick off, Fade to Black is here to support you for that. But let's get you back on the show, and I'll shoot some video. I'll present my own box, and let's make this thing happen in 2021.
The thing I'm going to urge you to do is get some of the other guys involved because they are just super people, and you haven't had them on. And I would love to have these people be on and be seen and talking to you, and they will do shows because they've done them. And in addition to that, I'm just going to be honest. We want to solicit support, financial, from others, and the way you do that is get on these shows and talk about it. That way we can afford more cloud, we can do more development. That's just the way it needs to be.
I'll talk to you, man. Hey,
Happy New Year.
Hey, be safe. My best to you and the family. And 2021 is here. Let's make the best of it. Thank you so much, Bob.
See you, brother.
That's Bob McGwier, the absolute best. And we went poll to poll. I got to run credits right now before the network cuts me off. Thank you so much, Bob. SkyHub.org. The links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. I'm really excited about this. I'm telling you, man, you're going to have the Fade to Black edition. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or reused anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Isaac Arthur, Future Science. Until tomorrow night, I want everybody to be safe. Go Fade to Black.